Hi everyone. In this video, I will be going over Activity 5-4, titled Managing File and Folder Attributes. This is from the MCTS Guide to Microsoft Windows 7. In my edition of the book, this starts on page 221. To begin, I'm going to open my virtual machine, which I have configured with these additional drives. And we want to go to our Start menu. Right-click on Computer and select Manage. If you get a little pop-up, the user account control authorizing you to run it, just go ahead and hit Yes or OK, whichever it says. And we want to go to the Disk Management section. Disk Management, come on, not Device Manager, there we go. And we can see that I have these 3 volumes created. Alright, so I've gone ahead and removed those additional drives, since part of this activity is to create them. So, to begin, we will go ahead and get those created really quickly here. If they're not initialized, you can right-click on them here to initialize. As soon as you do, it'll give you a pop-up window to initialize all 3 disks. And then all we need to do is right-click on the unallocated section, tell it to be a new simple volume. As we walk through the wizard, we'll give it full sizes for everything, and we want to assign drive letters H, I, and J. Our first 2 are going to be NTFS file systems with a volume label, data vol 1, 2, and 3. So we'll go ahead and finish that one for the first, and then we'll do the same for the second, giving it the I drive letter. Call it data vol 2 as NTFS file system. And then our third is going to be slightly different, because we are going to give it the J drive letter and change the file system to FAT32. So that's how you create those 3 drives. And you can see that they've been created here with the drive lettering. So we can make sure that's everything for the instructions for the creation. Alright, so we're good here. We can close the Disk Management, Computer Management console. Let's go ahead and make sure these were all created correctly. H, I, and J. So we're good there. So moving on, once you've created those 3, you have made it down to step 23. So go to Start and click on My Computer, which is where we are here. In the left pane, we want to select data vol 1, the H drive. And we're going to create a new folder, and we're going to call it Private Documents. And then inside of that, we are going to create a text file, new text document, and call it Budget Mistakes. And we need to open that. We just need to give it some text in here. Doesn't really matter what it contains. And save it. The hotkey for saving is Control and S, or you can go to File and click Save. Then we want to go to the properties for this new text document. So we have both the read-only and hidden attributes are clear. So we have full control and it is not hidden. So we're going to go to Advanced down here. And we can see that the file is ready for archiving, and its contents can be indexed in addition to the file properties. We want to make sure that both the compress contents and encrypt contents are cleared. We don't want to do either one of those for this particular file. So we go ahead and close all of those dialog boxes. And then we want to come back to our H drive, DevOl1. You can click up here for it, or you can select it again on the left side. And we want to go to the properties for our private documents folder. And we can see that the read-only is filled or blocked out, and the hidden is clear. So we're going to go to Advanced, and we'll note that both of these are still clear, which is what we wanted to make sure when we first come in. And so we are now down on step 38, where we want to put a check mark in the encrypt contents box, and then tell it to also compress, and we can see that it can only do one of the two, so it will clear out the other. And we're going to go ahead and leave it on compress, and hit OK, and OK to close the dialog boxes. And we want to leave the radio button selected for the second option, this folder, subfolder, and files. So all contents have become compressed, and the light blue color shows that the folder is compressed, as opposed to the standard black, which is non-compressed. Alright, so we're going to open the private documents, and our budget mistakes document should also be blue, which it is, showing that it has been compressed. And so we'll verify that by going into its properties, into the advanced, and we can see that it was compressed the same as the folder, so it inherited that from the folder. So we can close our dialog boxes for that. So now we're going to come back to the top of our H drive and create a new folder now. This one we're going to call Holiday Schedule. Oh, my mistake. I jumped ahead a step. This should be Public Documents. And inside of it, we will create that holiday schedule text. And we can see that it is not compressed. We're going to go ahead and throw some more random text in here. The instructions did tell you to cut and paste that into here from the root of the H drive. So the instructions say to create it here, and then you cut, move into your public documents, and paste it. Either way, as long as it ends up in here, you're fine. And let's backtrack one step here. In step 52, we're going to cut the holiday schedule, showing that it is not compressed. We're going to cut it and move it into the private documents and paste it there. And we can see that although the private documents is compressed, our file is not. It did not inherit when it was pasted in. Alright, so from here in private documents, we're going to create a new text document here, and we're going to call this Budget Ideas. And we see that it automatically takes on the compression because it was created inside of this compressed directory. So now we'll move on to I, and the main point it was showing there is that if it's created here inside of a compressed directory, it will be compressed. If it's created outside of a compressed directory in an uncompressed directory, it will remain uncompressed even if it's moved into this compressed area. So let's jump over to the I drive. This is step 54, and we're going to create a new folder, and this will be called Compressed Documents. And then we're going to create another folder called uncompressed documents. So we're going to go and look at the properties for compressed documents. Right click and go to Properties. Select the Advanced button, and we want to select the contents compressed to save disk space. So compress contents to save disk space, and hit OK. And OK again to apply that so it becomes compressed. And then we're going to move back to our H drive, private documents, budgetideas.txt. We want to copy this file, and we're going to move it into that I compressed documents, and we'll see that it stays compressed. And it stays compressed because it takes on the compressed documents directories attribute for compression. So next we're going to come back to our private documents in our H drive, and we're going to copy it again, and then move it into the I drive uncompressed documents directory, and we see that it no longer is compressed. So when we move it into a non-compressed area, it loses the compression, and this is because we moved from drive to drive. If it was within the same drive, it would stay compressed. Since we moved drives into an uncompressed directory, it takes on the attribute of the uncompressed directory. Alright, so next we are up to step 62. We're going to go to the J drive, data vol 3, and we're going to create a new folder called fat documents. And we're going to jump back into our H for the original, private documents, copy, budget ideas. And we are going to move it to our J drive fat documents folder and paste it there. And because we've moved it into a FAT32 file system, it is not compressed. FAT32 cannot handle compression. So we'll jump back over to our private documents, and we're going to right click on budget mistakes and go to Properties, Advanced, and we're going to tell it to go ahead and encrypt. So it loses compression and becomes encrypted, and we'll see that after we hit OK here and OK to close this dialog box, our text will go from blue to green. And we want to encrypt the file only when it prompts us. And so we have a compressed file in blue, an encrypted file in green, and a standard file in black. So next we want to copy the budget mistakes, and we're going to come back to the root of our H drive, and we're going to go into public documents, where we will paste that file, and we'll see that it stays encrypted because we stayed on the same drive, the NTFS file system type, so it will stay encrypted here. Now if we come back to our private documents and copy it again, and move it over to the I drive uncompressed documents and paste it here, we'll see that it still retains that encryption because we're still in an NTFS file system. Alright, up to step 75, we're going to go back to our H drive, private documents. We're going to copy budget mistakes one more time here. And this time we're going to move it over to our J drive, data vol 3, into the fat documents directory. And because this is a FAT32 file system, when we paste it, it warns us that we will lose the encryption. And so the FAT32 file system can't support all the NTFS attributes. So we select yes, and it will lose that encryption. So we're going to come back to H drive private documents, and we're going to right click on budget mistakes. We're going to go to advanced and look at the details here. And note that the user you're logged in as that created these files is listed here. We can always come and add a new user or another user. And so when we do this, we can go here and view our certificate properties for our account. And under General, which is the default tab to open to, we can see that we have a certificate allowing data on the disk to be encrypted. And so this is what allows us to encrypt on an NTFS file system drive. So we're going to go ahead and cancel and close all of our dialog boxes, and that takes us to step 84, which is closing our final window, and that wraps up the activity 5-4, managing file and folder attributes. So we took a look at how compressed files can stay compressed by being moved to another drive into a location that's already compressed, so it'll take on the new location's attributes. But if it's moved to an uncompressed area, it loses that compression because it takes on the attributes of the new destination folder. But then when we do that with encryption, it will retain the encryption. So moving drive to drive, we can lose compression but retain encryption. And when we move from an NTFS file type over to a FAT32 or a FAT16 file type, then we lose both encryption and compression, because FAT systems don't support either of those. That wraps it up for this video. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them below, and I will see you in my next video.